Well, it's great to see everyone. This is my first in-person press conference since I've been the head coach at Wake Forest since April 30th, 2020, which is kind of hard to believe. I want to thank you guys for wearing a mask. I know that's where we're at right now. I think we'll get through this when we all get vaccinated and we all wear a mask where we're supposed to wear a mask. And so I appreciate you guys doing that. There's been a lot of activity on campus and a lot of energy. I walk campus every morning, and it's just great to see people on campus, something we didn't have a year ago. I actually walked in on Coach Clausen today and watched practice. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't really see anything, but he informed me that they were doing pretty well. I'm going to go through a few things here, and then I'll open it up to questions. I think the first thing is the roster. Obviously, the roster's changed in a good way. We start with 3 grad transfers, Dallas Walton from Colorado, Alondis Williams from University of Oklahoma, and Hadim C from Ole Miss, who came with about 4 or 5 weeks left in the summer, because we get 8 weeks in the summer. We've got 2 seniors, quote-unquote seniors, Isaiah Musius and Davian Williamson, but because of COVID, they could have another year left like the rest of the guys below them. I guess that remains to be seen how we move forward. But the 3 grad transfers, this is definitely, it for them. We have 1 sophomore on the team who actually is a junior, in college, Jake LaRavia, who's a transfer from Indiana State. And then we have, believe it or not, we have 7 freshmen, and all in a different category. If you start at the top, Damari Monsanto, who I signed as a transfer from East Tennessee State. I redshirted him his freshman year. My last year we won 30 games. He was the SoCon Freshman of the Year this past year, and then he came here, unfortunately. He transferred here, and unfortunately in May he tore his Achilles. And so he'll get a medical, so really technically he could be a 4th-year freshman, which you guys can figure that out for me. Tariq Ingram's in the same boat. He'll be a 3rd-year freshman after tearing his Achilles his freshman year and then getting a COVID year last year. He'll be going in his 3rd year. And then Carter Witt, who played, as you guys know, last year, came in at Christmas and played and started for us, he'll be a 2nd-year freshman. And then we have a really talented group of freshmen, Robert McCray from Columbia, South Carolina, Cameron Hildreth from London, England, Lucas Taylor from Wake Forest, North Carolina, and then our latest addition, Matthew Marsh from Cornwall, England. And so it's a new roster. We do have Miles Lester, Grant Van Beveren, and J.R. Mathis back as walk-ons, and a couple new guys in that boat as well. And so we've had a really good summer. I break down the season in several parts. I break it down. Summer workouts, which we just finished, is 8 weeks. break it down with fall workouts, which we'll have about 5 weeks of those before we start regular practice, which will be September 28th or 29th, something like that. The difference is in those 5 weeks, we'll get this 4 hours a week on the court, and once we start September 29th, it's 20 hours for the week. So it's a big difference. Then we have the non-conference portion of our schedule. We have the conference portion, the ACC portion. We have postseason, and then we have spring workouts. The summer workouts, like I said, we had 33 practices. I went back and looked on our 33rd practice last year was on September 14th, and our 33rd practice this year was on August 6th. So obviously, we're ahead of the game as far as practice is concerned. I thought we did a great job competing and sharing the basketball. We had very good chemistry on and off the court. We have very good depth, and that's without having Monsanto, Damari playing, and Marsh really not here for the entire summer. The areas that we need to improve the most, in my opinion, coming out of summer are defense and rebounding. A few stats, the leading scorer, and I say the leading scorer, the person that scored the most points now, we statted every time we went live, and we went live a lot, pretty much all summer. David Williamson had the most points, or leading scorer. Jake LaRavia was 2, Dallas Walton was 3, and Lucas Taylor was 4. Alondis Williams had the most assists. Carter Witt was 2nd, and Jake LaRavia was 3rd. Hadim C had the best assist turnover ratio. Carter Witt 2nd, Williams lined us third, Davian fourth. Best field goal percentage, Tariq Ingram shot 58% for the summer. Davian Williamson shot 55% for the summer, and Jake LaRavia shot 54%. Most made threes, Davian had the most. Lucas Taylor was second. Dallas Walton was third. Jake LaRavia was fourth, and Carter Witt was fifth. The best three-point field goal percentage, Lucas Taylor shot 52% from three for the summer. Davian Williamson, 51. Jake LaRavia, 42. Cameron Hildreth, 39. Carter Witt, 37. As you can imagine, you know, on the rebounding, LaRavia was first, but Carter Witt was second, which I thought was very encouraging. Isaiah Musius was third. Linus Williams was fourth. Williams and LaRavia and Williamson led us in steals. I thought Davian had about as good a summer as anybody could have. He shot 53% from the field, he shot 53% from the field, 51 from three, and 100 from the free throw line. Now, we didn't shoot a lot of free throws live because we just don't do that in the summer. We ranked the players 1 through 13, or however many we have in the summer. I think it was 15. I've done this ever since I've been a head coach. We usually do it weekly, but it's always interesting at the end of the summer. We do it as a staff, and then the players do it. I'm going to share the top 5 coming out of the summer. What does that mean? Well, these are the guys that ranked on I thought had the best summer based on playing and drills, the whole deal. Jake LaRavia was number 1. Davian Williamson was number 2. Dallas Walton was number 3. Cameron Hildreth was number 4. And Hadim C. was right there close with Linus Williams at number 5. Weight room rankings were interesting. Those are different. Mike Starkey does those. Davian Williamson was number 1. He's gone from 149 pounds to 183 pounds. Since I signed him at 149 out of Winston-Salem Prep. He weighs 183 today. For those of you that are bad at math like me, that's plus 34. And this is where he ranked in the weight room. As a freshman at East Tennessee State, he was 9th. As a sophomore, he was 8th. Last year, he was 7th. This year, he was number 1. So that tells you the type of commitment that he's made. Number 2 was LaRavia. Number 3 was Walton. Number 4 was Ingram. Number 5 was Musius. So other weight gains, Dallas Walton gained 10. Cameron Hildreth gained 10. Lucas Taylor 8. And Robert McCray gained 7. And he had a 42-inch running vertical when we did our NBA Combine. We did a lot of team building this summer, which we couldn't do, which I think is really, really important. We ate breakfast together after every practice. We had office check-in every day. We had dinner. We ate as a team every night in the Shaw. We went and played airsoft. Every player tried to murder me. They didn't quite get that done. Had a lot of team meals at my house. I want to give a lot of respect to my wife, Johnetta, for taking care of that. That's a lot of work. I had the players at my house a lot. In fact, one Sunday night, it was about midnight. I was trying to go to sleep, and I could hear the TV going downstairs, and the walls were shaking. But I thought that was a good thing because there was about 6 players down there watching television, watching a movie. At the end of the summer, we always have player meetings, so we go over all this stuff that we just talked about. I thought they were very, very productive, and I think it's really great. I think it's really good for the players to know where they're at coming into the fall. I think that's really important. The June-July evaluation period, up until this past June, we were forced to offer players without seeing them play, in a live setting. This changed in June and July. So we tried to see as many players as we could in the time that we were allowed. We were on the road 2 weekends in June, 4 weekends in July, so it was a lot, going and recruiting on the weekends, coming back for practice, and it was just, and then having visits. It was a constant turn of things. Some players confirmed what we saw on film, or heard about them, and then some did not. So some stayed on the list, some were added, and some were deleted. We had 6 official visits and 13 unofficial visits to campus during June and July. It was a unique situation, being that, we had not used any of our official visits going into June because of COVID. We get 12 official visits a year for juniors and seniors up until August 1. So we used 6 of those, left 6 on the table. So we haven't used any official visits for 21 and 22 yet as of today. Recruiting, as you guys know, the recruiting landscape has changed dramatically. College coaches are now recruiting high school players who have multiple options to play professionally before and after they graduate from high school. You got the overtime league, you got the G League, you got overseas, and you have college. So basketball players have a lot of options, coming out of high school. You throw the one-time transfer rule and the NIL in there, and the landscape of college basketball recruiting really has probably undergone the biggest change since I started coaching in '89. The manner in which rosters are being constructed, has completely transformed. What hasn't changed, though, is the fact that we're going to continue to recruit student athletes who fit the academic profile of Wake Forest and who fit the identity and core values of our program. Recruiting is very important to me. I'm not a micromanager. I hire great people, and I let them do their job, but I do micromanage recruiting because along with player relationships and scheduling, I think it's the most important aspect of a successful basketball program. The old saying, Les, you can relate to this, recruiting is like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you look like a bum. And that's taken on a whole new meaning. The non-conference schedule, the model will probably be about the same every year. We're going to play in an MTE, which is 2 games now because of the rule changes. Last year we're at Northwest Florida, the Emerald Coast Classic, in a place where I've never lost a home game. So hopefully it'll be kind to us. LSU, Oregon State, Penn State, or I guess in us, or in the tournament. We'll always be hopefully in the ACC Big Ten shootout. That's 1 game. We're at home this year against Northwestern. I like to play 1 to 2 neutral games a year. We're playing 1 this year in Charlotte against UNC Charlotte, or did they change their name? Somebody said the Charlotte University. I don't know. But Ron Sanchez is a good friend and does a really good job. But I could see playing there a lot every year. I could see maybe playing in a neutral site somewhere else across the country. We're always going to play a home and home. We should play Xavier this year at Xavier, but they wanted to push the date off for another year, which we mutually agreed to. And then we'll play 5 or 6 guarantee games a year. We only get 11 non-league games because of the 20 league games. So that model is not going to change a whole lot. Some of the opponents will obviously change, but that's the way it'll be. I know I've rambled on for quite some time now, but like I normally do, but I'll be more than glad to answer any of your questions.
Going off that point you made kind of there at the end about the options guys have to play professionally, how's your pitch changed over the years at recruiting guys?
It really hasn't changed. I've always been a relationship recruiter, and so it's about building relationships with the player and the family. And I guess what you need to do, try to do the best you can, is to get the most information you can get. The more information we have, the best decisions we can make in anything in life. And so you have to really get a feel for, does this young man or this family are they looking in that direction? That doesn't mean that you don't recruit them, but you have to keep that in mind. And what else can happen, like, for instance, a lot of these kids this summer have never been seen. And a lot of these kids have never been on a college campus. I know our fans want us to sign a bunch of guys tomorrow. Well, some of these kids have never even made visits. They've got to get out on campus and see some of these places. And so, but these kids can blow up in the summer. Like they for the first time they had AAU back where we could go out and see them play. Well, we're not the only ones at the tournament. The G League's there, the overtime league's there. And so kids can play really well, and maybe that's somebody that you were or weren't recruiting, and then now they make that decision because they get a life-changing maybe money offer. So I don't think it's changed a whole lot. I just think it's more about really having a good feel for the situation and trying to have a great relationship to get the right answers to the questions.
Steve, in terms of the name, image, and likeness, what kind of pitch, generally speaking, do you give these prospects to let them know that they could be competitive with Wake Forest?
Well, I think most importantly is that they understand that it's something that we wholeheartedly support. I think it's really good for them to have this opportunity to monetize their name, image, and likeness. They can learn a lot about taxes. They can learn a lot about making money. But as far as my selling point, we don't, as far as a coach, we can't organize, we can't set up these things for them. So, I think more so than anything, it's probably their conversations with our players. How are you guys doing? What are you, how are you going about it? We talk to them about the things that we can do legally and provide, the open doors, those type of other things that we have on campus to help them, get something like that going. But it's something that, and I think this last truth, I think we'll learn more about it as we go. It's just kind of started. But for me personally, I leave it to where, rules wise, it's not something that we can be involved in, but it's definitely something that we support. And I definitely want our players to take advantage of it. And I think it'll evolve, hopefully, as we learn more and more about what we can and can't do.
Steve, aside from going back to recruiting stuff, aside from being able to see players live, what are some of the things you missed about being on the road and kind of been reacclimated to it for the last couple months?
I didn't miss anything, Connor. I really got soft, to be honest with you. I was so tired after going out for like 3 days. I felt like, man, Steve, what has happened to you? I don't miss eating at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I don't miss standing in the gym for 10 hours a day. But that's what we do, right? I did enjoy being back in the gym, and one thing like basketball too is, you see all your, you see everybody that you coach against. We're all sitting at watching the same games pretty much. But I don't really want to say I missed any. I did miss just being in there and hearing the sneakers squeak, actually seeing the kid's actual size. When he told me he was 6'10", and I'm not 6'10", but I can tell you're about 6'7". What I don't miss is the Peach Jam. Might be the coldest event in the history of recruiting. I don't know how you don't get pneumonia walking out of there from minus 30 to 112 in Augusta. That's hard in the summertime, but I didn't miss the travel. I will tell you that, and it was a tough travel because typically we've had little 5-day windows. I've been in a 10-day window. I've coached so long that we went out the whole month. Okay, and where you woke up in Vegas, you didn't even know what city you were in, or couldn't find your rental car. To just these weekends, right? Well, the hard thing for the head coach is there's 3 events, right? There's Nike, Under Armour, and Adidas. Well, they're not very geographically located. And so every night after that event for 10 or 12 hours, you're getting on a plane and flying from Augusta to Dallas. You're doing the same thing, then you're flying to Omaha, and then you're flying home. And then you're having practice, and then you're having visits, and so that part, that's why I'm slim and trim. It's because it took some stamina to get through it.
That was a perfect place for you to segue into how much the Get Right program was for you.
Well, Davian gained it and I lost it. It's competition. Actually, I was looking at Twitter, and we all know Twitter doesn't lie, and the Lane Kiffin said that he lost 30 pounds or something like that, and so I couldn't be beat by him. So I think I'm at 41 today since my birthday, March 22nd. We got an old Get Right program, and the players did great, but the honest truth is I needed to do the same thing. There's a lot of reasons, and we can make up excuses, but the bottom line is it is what it is, and so I got aggressive, and I actually carried going back to recruiting, I actually took my scale with me in my backpack when I was recruiting. That way when I woke up in the morning, there was no excuses, because it is hard when you're on the road to try to do that the right way. I appreciate you asking.
This is still a pretty young team
Yeah.
in terms of your tenure and your vision for it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you describe the program to some of those new players that you're looking at to bring in, and just what they would be part of here?
Yeah.
Where it's still kind of coming together.
Sure. Well, I ask them if they want to be a pillar or a piece. If you want to be a piece to the puzzle, you can go anywhere in the country and be a piece to the puzzle. You can come here and be a pillar. And what do I mean by that? Well, be a part of the team that puts this program back on the national map where it belongs. All you have to do is walk up into the practice facility and see all the banners from NCAA tournaments, from ACC championships, and it's very doable here. So if you want to be a part of something where you can cement your legacy, then you come do that, or you can just go be a piece of the puzzle somewhere else and continue just to be a part of the program. And so I sell that as far as being special, and part of something that people will remember for a very long time. I just did it at East Tennessee State. It's the same, they mirror each other. There was a tremendous success in the 90s at East Tennessee State, and they had a little bit of success until we got there, and then it just kind of fell off. And, we lit the fire and it exploded, and I think that's where we're headed. I love our roster. We have 13 ACC players on our team. I did not have that last year. There's not one player on our team that cannot play in the ACC. And so, and we have legitimate size. We're 7'1", 7 foot, 6'10", 6'8", 6'9". We got great size on the wings, 6'8". We got 6'4", two guard. We have 6'4", point guard. We got Jake LaRavia who can play the 3 at 6'9". Lucius can play. He'll play it at 6'8". So, I think it's an exciting time. And I was just talking to a group of campers up there, freshmen, 100 freshmen. And one of the things I told them is I like people whose glass is half full and not half empty, and that's where I'm at with this. Is we got to look at it half full. We got too many half empty people in this world, and we got a lot of positives here, and that's how we sell it, and I think it worked pretty good because we did a really good job of recruiting, and it was a long spring and a long summer to do that. But the message is pretty clear, and then it was exciting, Lauren, to get people to actually visit campus because the whole team that we signed never visited campus, which someday when whoever writes the book, my book will be like, man, we went through a whole recruiting class, 2 recruiting classes basically, and they never even visited and we never met them. We met them on Zoom, but, what's that? So, I think there's a lot of positives to this thing.
What do you think will be different about this year's team versus last year in terms of the way you play on the board? And then how surprised are you when you see some of these early preseason rankings that have Wake Forest 14th or 15th?
Yeah, I love that. That's just great bulletin board material. That's based off of us last year. What did we lose, 8 in a row at the end? I don't know. I didn't even know that till the other day. I wanted to kill myself when I saw that. I think we had the lowest net of the Power 5. I don't know. Stuff I'm just not used to. So I'm sure they're going off of that, which is fine, but that's just great bulletin board material for us. How we play different? We're going to play fast. We couldn't play fast last year. We got people that can drive the ball. We got guys that can play off the bounce. We got guys that can shoot threes. We're going to play off the post. We got a lot more options there. We're just a deeper team and a more talented team and a team that's a lot more connected. That's no and I think the connectivity part is it's no disrespect to the team we had a year ago. We had no opportunity to be connected. We were still practicing today with gloves on a year ago with 3 guys. Okay. They didn't even want everybody. They wanted them all to have their own ball. I don't know if you know about basketball, but there's not 3 balls out there. There's one, and we all got to share it. And so it was, in all respect to those kids, that was hard to do. But we've gone through this whole summer where we're just very connected, and we just have legitimate size and legitimate skill, and so that'll all be different than what we were, able to play. I felt like I had to overcoach last year. We had to orchestrate stuff all the time. We got guys that can make plays. And so now there's some things that will stay the same. Sharing the ball, motion, it'd be different, but it's motion, and so there's a lot more pluses than minuses.
Coach, for you, when did it kind of become normal? After the whirlwind year that you had, when did you start to feel like, okay, I'm now back in some normalcy with some workouts and everything?
Yeah, that's probably towards the end, right in June, into June. The guys came back. we started practicing, I don't know, June 7th, something like that, and we just kind of got rolling, you know, and then we started having people visit campus. Like I said, we had all those visits, unofficials and officials. It just felt normal again, right? I went downtown, I went out to eat, you know, kids were coming to the house. I just felt like, yeah, you know, I went back to Iowa to see my mom, and I just hadn't seen her since 2 years, you know, pandemic. And so I think those things just kind of felt like, all right, you know, we're back to some type of normalcy. You know, now I know things have heightened here a little bit, and we're going to have some restraints, but we're not where we were at a year ago, I don't think. I mean, I don't feel that way, but probably in June when you just kind of everything started going in a normal, what I would say normal for me, a normal June might not be a normal June for you, but it is for me.
You going off that with, you know, the school requiring vaccination,
Mhm.
like how's the program looking?
We're 99%, and we have one person who has the exemption based on what the rules are here to come to school, and then that's where we're at, and I feel good about that, you know, and hopefully the rest of the world can get to there. You know, I don't think we are. I don't even know what the numbers are, but it's
Not bad.
yeah. So you know, I think that's a good number for us.
Going back to the recruiting
Mhm.
pitches a little bit, you go into an off-season where you probably have an idea there's going to be some personnel changing. As far as like, when you're bringing the incoming guys, like, do they ask questions about, like, you know, seeing a few guys leave, and like, how do you approach
Yeah.
that conversation?
Oh, I think it's pretty simple. That would have happened in a normal cycle had I gotten a job. In a normal cycle in a normal year, there's always turnover. When I took the job at East Tennessee State on basically April 1st, I signed 10 new players. Okay, and I didn't run anybody off. It was just a matter of, do you want to be a part of this? Well, those kids didn't have a choice. They didn't really have a chance. I mean, they didn't have really anywhere to go without visiting. So they trusted to come back. And then when you go through a year like we went through, then you figure that out. And so I don't think that's very hard. I think, you know, now if you go through that again and again and again, now you got a problem, right? But to explain that to the kids that we're recruiting now or recruited last year, I think it's just normal what happens when a program changes, and good and bad. You know, all those guys that left, you know, we were we tried to be very involved in helping them find a place, and they all landed, you know, and so everybody did fine, okay? And, you know, I'm still connected to those kids. Relationships are a two-way thing. You know, they got to want to have it. I always want to have it. And so if they do, I'm here for them, you know, and it's like that for any player that, even at East Tennessee State, you know, I've had players leave, and DeAndre Bernard's a great example. You know, he played for me 1 year, he graduated, wasn't going to play a lot. The year we won 30, we helped him go to Louisiana Monroe. He played, started. Now he's playing professionally in Canada. He's back in Johnson City this past weekend working out and asking me what gym to go to. I mean, that's just life, you know, and so I'd be the same way for any of the guys that left here.
Coach, it seems like a lot of former players are just doing extremely well in their own right. Of course, Chris Paul in the finals, Tim Duncan Hall of Fame, even Ish Smith coming to Charlotte. What does that do for your program, and how prevalent are those names in your conversation?
Very prevalent. It's awesome. You know, during the playoffs, we got a lot of great press, and you probably saw me sitting there on the front row in Atlanta with Mitt. You know, when the Hawks played the Bucks, and John Collins was playing, and Jeff Teague, who's now world champion, Jeff Teague, and then Chris is playing, you know, Jeff Teague for the world championship, and Ish, you know, all those guys have done really, really well. This is a player's program. It's not a coach's program. This is their alma mater. This is my job. And so that is the message that I have sent over and over and over, and have invited not just the pros back, but there's so many successful players that just do a great job in life, you know, in their job and in their community. And so, Mike Muse has done an unbelievable job of bringing those guys back. We've had a lot of people come through the Shaw this summer hanging out with our players. And so I think all of that is really, really, really important. I was very honored to go to Tim's retirement, or not retirement, Hall of Fame, retired, then he went Hall of Fame. I went to the Hall of Fame induction, it was an incredible experience. And so, any time that our former players can come back, there's so much value to that, not only for our community, but for our players to listen to their story. And, I've had a lot, Charlie Davis, all these guys have come and talked to my players. And we're going to continue to do that, Lauren. And, but anytime former Wake players do really well on the big stage like that, it can only help. And we got to get some of our guys there, and that'll make it even better.
Steve, with the size that you hit on earlier, the 7'1", 7 foot, how many of those guys can you move around and tinker with at 4 and 5 or 3 and 4?
Well, we're early. Matthew hasn't even been able to practice yet. Now he's been able to work out, on his own, but he hasn't been in any 5-on-5 stuff yet. But I always like to recruit multi-positional players. Laravia is definitely a 3-4. Now, this is what happens. Everybody says they're that until they have to be that, right? But here's what I know. I watched one drill and knew that he could do it, and that was zigzags, and that was just guarding. He can really move his feet defensively. It's never offense. It's who you can defend. And so can he defend a 3? Without question. Can Musius defend a 3? Without question. So there's 6'8", 6'9" that can play that. Hadim C can really shoot the ball, and he's extremely skilled. I just told you he had the best assist-turnover ratio for the summer. He can play the 4 at 6'10". Dallas Walton really could play a stretch 4 because he made second most threes, I think, on the team, or third. But, he's got to be able to defend that position, and he can block shots, so we want to keep him closer to the basket. I don't know. Those guys are multi-positional players, so what are you asking me? Can we play big? Yeah, we can play big. We went down there and played Carolina this year, and they're playing volleyball up there on the rim. I like to play that way too, And so, and we could have a 6'5" 2 guard, So the options are there. That's what a coach wants is options. Well, the one thing you don't want to do is look down the bench and look back out there. You want to look down the bench and say, go get them. And so I like that. I like that versatility that you're talking about now. Where are we at with that? And listen, this is because those guys are ranked 1 through 5. That's just for 8 weeks in the summer. Okay, I just told you there's 5 weeks of fall workouts, and then there's, 40 practices before we get to a game? That'll change. Trust me. But I think it's important for the players to know where they're at. I think they really deep down respect that. Instead of and then what happens a lot of times with players is they have their own false sense of reality. And my job is to define reality. And I think they know that. And so I think they respect that.
I know he wasn't in the top 5 or 6
Mm-hmm.
there, but it sounds like Lucas Taylor was in a bunch of the top 5 categories.
Yeah, he's close. He played really well this summer.
Yeah.
He's a really good player.
It's not a surprise, but given
No?
he was a little later
Well,
recruit.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I recruited him right away. He just chose a different path. That's why you don't burn bridges, babe. That's why you don't burn bridges in recruiting. And he came back to us. And listen, in the rankings, guys, really, wouldn't you expect the older guys to be the higher ranked guys? I mean, they've been through it. Now, that's what I'm saying. But Cam Hilder's also played against grown men. And Cameron Hilder knows where to look because he's had to play against really good defense. Now, some people may say, our experts may say that wasn't that good of basketball. Well, it's a lot better than what these guys are playing AAU against, I can promise you that. And so I think that paid off. Lucas has a tremendous motor, okay, and a tremendous work ethic. that's one of the things I have loved about this team. I cannot get them out of the gym. I don't try to get them out of the gym. They are in there constantly in the gym. And he's in there and working on his craft. And he's made himself into being a high percentage three-point shooter. I didn't take a ton of them, but he makes them. And I think that he can be an all ACC level defender pretty quick. He's got great feet. He's long. He's tough. He's athletic. He's a great team player. A little bit got some leadership skills in him. I think he's got a chance to be somebody to be like, whew, where'd he come from? You know, I really like him. A lot.
You may have alluded to it a little bit there, but personality traits of this team, are there a couple that really excite you?
Yeah.
What you're seeing?
Yeah, Dallas is the old man. You know, he's like the old uncle on the team. You know, he's been through it. The players respect him. I'm not going to get deep into it, but on top of ranking them, like, I go pretty in-depth on asking them, you know, who are the best leaders on the team, who are the best communicators, blah, blah. I mean, they have to handwrite this. It's like a test, and they give it to me. So Dallas is at the top there as far as a guy that the players respect off the court. I mean, I don't think it's any secret Isaiah Musius is one of the best communicators on the team. I mean, he's proven that, and he still is. You know, Hadim has a bubbly personality. Him and Alandis as older guys. You know, if you saw the video of Hadim playing ping pong in my basement, you would not worry about him making the Olympic team for ping pong. I can promise you that. But he's been through it. You know, this is his second go around in the ACC. And so I think those guys, you know, bring a lot of personality and a lot of pop. I don't do well with guys I can't talk to. I have to be able to communicate and laugh and then be able to get on them and then understand how that works. And these guys are really good at that. You know, Jake's extremely competitive, like to the point sometimes you dial it down a little bit, you know. But I like that. I'd rather dial a guy down than dial him up. Cameron Hillard almost broke his face going for a loose ball at the end of the summer. He smashed his face into the wall in the shot. Now, it's a pretty long, I mean, it's not like the wall's right there. He went diving for a loose ball. I mean, he's so competitive. You know, Robert McRae is an unbelievable athlete. I mean, like, Sports Center type athlete. You know, Carter's, you know, solid, and he made some great plays this summer, and he's gotten stronger. He's up to like 182. And then, you know, Davian, I've had, I don't know, a couple, 3 players maybe that had as good a summer as he had, spring, summer. He's at a different level now than what you've seen. The strength has given him so much more confidence, and the weight, and he hasn't lost any strength or quickness. So, yeah, I mean, there's just a different vibe to the players, you know, and I've really enjoyed that, and I like having that kind of relationship with my players on our team.
Building off that, Steve, when you have 9 new players that come from all over the place, how important has it been to actually be able to spend time with them?
Oh, it's
those team building activities.
It's the most important thing that we can do off the court is that, you know, and it's something that, you know, when I got the job, I told you it's something I've always been really strong at and thrived at, but just didn't have the opportunity to do it. You know, I was talking to those kids today, those 100 freshmen. I said, you know, and you've heard me say this, guys. I got the job April 30th. I was here 2 weeks with my staff, and nobody was on campus. Nobody. We're the only people in the courtyard over there. You know, so I finally moved back to Johnson City, and I didn't move to Winston-Salem until July 1. I didn't meet the players till July 20th. And how do you build any kind of chemistry that way? You know, and so we haven't gone through that. And so it's the most important thing that we do besides what we do, you know, in practice is how we, and that's why team breakfast and team dinner is really important. And I will tell you this, at team dinner now, they put their phone up. They have to put their phone up over there. They can't have their phone. And we have name cards, and we move them around every day. They have to sit where their name card is. So they have to have a conversation with the people that are sitting. So it's not like they're buddying up either. Okay, we're moving them around. I learned that from Pat Riley a long time ago. He used to do that on the plane, coming back from games. And so that has really, then we go in there with them and we cut. And then sometimes we'll ask them a question. And some of the answers are hilarious. That's Joe Hughley's, that's his responsibility. That's not my responsibility to ask those questions, but it's funny with some of the stuff they ask them. But it's just team building, man, and getting to know each other. Just like the airsoft, I didn't really want to do that. It was like 110, I'm out there in battle fatigues, trying not to get shot. And that thing hurts too, by the way. Don't get it twisted. That little airsoft ain't soft now.
There are any photos of you?
Oh, there's photos. Yeah, Ross, yeah. They tried to machine gun me a couple times, but I'm pretty elusive out there. I'm from Iowa. I've been in the trees before. But we had a good time. I mean, it was hot too. Oh, it was hot out there that day. But yeah, I think that stuff is, and we'll continue to do more. And we got to do more community service too. We didn't get to do that, and that's really important to me. We did some, but that giving back and being grateful, that may be one of the most important things that we do too. And so we've got a whole bunch of those things lined up in the fall. But once the season starts, we kind of, we don't do as much. But in the fall, we're going to be pretty busy with that too.
This might be a question better placed a couple months from now, but just looking at the schedule now with 5 home games to start. That last home game last year, I think had 1,800 people
Yeah.
in the stands, and other than that, it was just 100 and us.
Yeah.
How much are you find yourself looking forward to actually having a crowd to kind of introduce yourself to the fan base?
I can't wait. I was again talking to those freshmen today about that. There's nothing more important than a home court advantage, okay? And to have a home court advantage, you got to have people in the stands. And I do think people understand how important that is. I went back and looked. I think the 9 years before I got here, I lost 12 home games in 9 years. Okay, but did we always play well? No, but the energy willed us on, many times to win, and that's what I want. Here's what I don't want. And I've had this discussion at East Tennessee State, Wichita State they figured it out. It's not about who we play. Okay, what happens a lot of times, I think, with fans they look at the schedule and go, oh, we don't want to. It's not about that. You should want to come see our guys play. It's not about who we're playing. If you're really into it, it's about. I can tell you this: when we played Oklahoma Baptist at Wichita State exhibition game, 10,400. They wanted to see Fred and Ron and Clee. And when I was at East Tennessee State, they wanted to see Bo and Trey and Pat and Romy. It's the same thing here. That's what I want here. They should want to see Jake and Carter and Davian and Dallas and Dream and Man. Not about, we're playing so-and-so. It's not about that. It's about us. And when we get back to that, then we'll have a home court advantage. And that's what we're building towards. Because we didn't have that. And so we got this opportunity now to get this momentum going and get people to get to know our players. And I know it's hard because the culture's changed. The one-time transfer, the whole thing, the rosters are changing over. I get it. So take advantage of what we got and come get to know these really nice, really great kids who are really good players. And I think when we get to that, back to that's when we'll have something special.
We'll do a couple more.
Coach, how important was this summer for Carter being educated?
Oh, huge. Spring was really important. Carter and Davian, they had the advantage of the spring. So we had 8 weeks in the spring with the Get Right program, and they worked really hard at that. And that's where Davian he kind of took off from that. Carter the same. Carter didn't have to probably put as much weight on as Davian because, he has a pretty good frame. But and then I think Carter getting to play with players that can play, and can catch his passes and read the game 3 or 4 plays ahead sometimes. Carter's got a really good mind, as far as seeing the floor and seeing plays. And so it was, I think, and I told him that when we had 4 guys in the Get Right program. I said, it won't be like this for very long. I think he probably kind of looked at me like, I said, wow. Then when he walked out to practice in June, he was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And so it has been really important for him, and he's just going to be a freshman. We got to remember that. I mean, the guy, I think he played against Catawba. I don't think he practiced. And then we went right to Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Duke. Thanks, ACC. I just having that experience but he went from there. If you remember how he played against Notre Dame, pretty good improvement in just a matter of not very long. And so we'll see him make some great plays this year.
Coach, obviously the landscape is changing with the coaches, at least in state,
Yeah.
in the ACC. Did you scare off Coach K and Roy, or what?
Well, I called Coach. I might have texted him. I can't remember. Coach K. I said, I'm feeling really bad today guilty about you leaving, retiring in next year. And he goes, well, what's wrong? I go, I knew those 3 wins were going to scare you out of here. I like those guys. I miss them. I really like Coach Williams. I'm going to miss Coach when that day comes, Coach K. I don't really know college basketball without him in my lifetime, and so, those guys are Hall of Fame coaches and Hall of Fame people, but I don't think they were scared of me. No, not at all. I do value my relationship with them, but I also want to be competitive, and I'm really happy for John and Hubert. I love to see assistant coaches get jobs because I was one, and those guys put their time in, and they think about this, they played there, and then they sat it's right next to a Hall of Famer. Took pretty good notes, I'm sure. And those guys they're going to do great. They're going to be great there. And it's interesting how life changes, right? I got a picture in my office of college game day and a sign ball. And it's Billis and Digger and I don't know if Bobby Knight's in it, and Hubert's in it. And now I'm coaching against him in the ACC. So you never know, man. You just don't. But I'm excited for those guys. But I know Coach has got 1 more year in him, and I'm sure he's ready. I'm pretty sure he wants to go out with a bang. So I'm sure they'll be ready to go.
All right, anything else?
All right. Thank you.